while I was waiting in the pit, I heard this voice say, "Dana, Torrey, you look really good." And I looked over. Remember the guy I told you while I was typing? Who got everybody jumping? He was standing there, shackled, hands to feet, and walking like this. And I said, I say his name. I said, "What are you doing here?" I walked over to him. He said, "Yo, you remember when Patrick Daly, our school principal, got shot? I'm in here for that." Who called it? Who called it? Raise your hand. Who called it? Who called it? The message right now to the young people who heard that is that the older people in this room know what they're talking about. So when they tell you something, it's not that they're lecturing you, it's that they've been down the road. And we should really listen to them. I've been fortunate because my father had a 5th grade education. He dropped out in 5th grade. And his son goes on to get published by a major book company. But the real blessing in this is that people from all over the country, from all backgrounds, from all ages, email me and say, "This book is about my life." And the reason why is because even though this book is set in an urban environment, this book is really about what we all going through. Raise your hand if you've had a friend who was acting not so friendly with you. You had someone who you couldn't figure out if this was a real friend or a fake friend. Look at his face. You got to pan in on this man right here. His face like this. It's like, I can count on my fingers and on my toes how many times this has happened. That's what this book is about. Raise your hand if you had to make some tough choices. And tough choices for any problems that you created. Raise your hand. You just found yourself in a situation, you're like, what? I gotta deal with this. This is what the book is about. Raise your hand if you've had to struggle with being the real you. You know how we all say, you should do you. Do you. Do you. But the reality is, it's really tough to do you and be you because the whole crowd is going in this direction. Raise your hand if you've had a struggle to be your authentic self. I see some people not raising their hands and they're nodding. That's okay too. What I like to do is I like to read you something. I wasn't going to read something, but Attorney Mosley said, you have to read this piece. So, is that okay if I read something? Everybody hear me? You know, I'm trying this out, but I don't know what to say here. I can move around. Son, your ears are bigger than baseball gloves. Manny was a troublemaker in our school, but I couldn't believe that he was trying to clown on Sean. Out here, in my school and in my neighborhood, the rule is you diss or you get dissed on. He's not in her head. He's not in his head. Raise your hand, that's the rule. Right? The best disser is the king of the hill, or the queen of the hill. And that was Sean. He was the man. You become the new king by knocking down the old king. I guess that's why, out of all the tables in our school cafeteria, Manny came to ours. Manny was a husky Dominican kid who looked white, Italian or something. He had green cross eyes, a thick neck, and he always kept the same pissed face on. He had no sense, and he messed with anybody. You speaking to me? Sean said, yeah, you elephant ears. People are laughing at that. It's funny because a young man that sang the Star Spangled Banner, He came up to me, he was quoting lines from this book. He probably thought he was hard because he had 2 7th graders with him. He looked like he was trying to dress hard too. The end of September was chilly, even in our lunchroom, but man, he kept his button shirt wide open, his white tank top showed. Sean eyed him up and down. You don't want it. You rocking clothes from a 99-cent store. And you trying to diss on me. The 2 7th graders who had come over with Manny laughed, and then they gave Sean a pound. What up, Archie? Sean said. What up, Rob? He made room for them to sit. Manny's eyes bugged out. He probably thought they kind of knew Sean, not that they were tight. Manny was standing all alone now. If someone clowned Sean, he just didn't diss back enough to shut that kid up. He took it to a whole other level. So I knew Sean wasn't about to let Manny off the hook so easy. Sean winked at me, Kyle, and Vanessa, and we understood what his wink meant. We had known Sean since 4th grade. And his favorite boxer, heavyweight champion of the world, winked that way right before he threw his knockout punches. Sean eyed Manny up and down. Everybody here knows that your family lives in a homeless shelter. Now some people I heard somebody curse back and say, oh shh. Young people, raise your hand if this is real talk. Raise your hand if this is how you hear people talking. And even worse, you see this? You getting this on video? Everybody knows your family lives in a homeless shelter, Sean told Manny. He waved at his sandwich in front of him. Here, I only took 2 bites from my hero. Why don't you take the leftovers to your family? Sean pulled out $1 from his pocket and threw it at Manny. And this is so you don't have to bet on the train later. Kids at the table busted out laughing. Me, Kyle, and Vanessa did too. Manny opened his mouth to say something back to Sean and closed it. His eyes were hurt looking, and his face turned red. You, Sean said, waving at Manny. Hello? Hello? You 2 hurt to say something? Sean tapped Ponchi's forearm. Yo, go get your man a Kleenex. You look like he's about to cry. Ponchi said, he's not my man no more. He sucked his teeth. And then looked at Manny and said, pump. Manny got tight, balled his hands into fists, and he stepped towards Sean to stop because Miss Feeney, our advisory teacher, came over. Raise your hand if you want to hear how this plays out. This is where Attorney Mosley would say, read the book. One of the things that Attorney Mosley and Jerry Poole and I were talking about is that young people are misinterpreted. Raise your hand if you feel like somewhere along your educational experience, you or someone that you went to school with was just totally misjudged by the school staff. Right? Right? You get a round of applause because this happens. Raise your hand if you feel that a lot of the literature isn't culturally responsive to us. And that if it does have us in the books, we gotta look. You heard that? Say that again? I'm not put you on the spot. This is not about me. This point is not about me. It's not about you. It's about our community. What you say?
They're basically like it's like slavery time.
Right? They depict us like they probably would depict us during slavery time, right? Either negative or we're one-dimensional. One of the reasons why Attorney Mosley and a lot of people keep telling me the reason why this book is grabbing so many people is because of the content, what's inside it. It's not that our kids don't like reading, it's that they haven't found. You ever heard the biblical phrase, out of the mouth of babes? You heard these young people up here say that? You don't have the right books. Now I'm not going to stand up here and say, well, you know, I'm a school teacher, I've been teaching for 13 years, I'm also a conflict resolution trainer, and I've been around the world. I was just on ABC, and I also was on NBC, and prominent newspapers have also covered my story. I'm not going to be that person. Let's keep it real with each other, right?